Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Krystal if you're new here. So in today's video, I'm finally talking about my breast implants that I had for almost 14 years, and I had them removed, which is called an explant surgery. So I had them removed just a little over a year ago, and I really wanted to give it some time before I made this video, just because I want to talk about breast implants, when I got them done, why I got them done, why I got them removed, talk about breast implant illness, talk about my current health now. I know I mentioned this in several videos that I posted, and some of you guys wanted me to talk about it. And I really want to spread awareness, especially about breast implant illness. A lot of people never knew about breast implant illness because it wasn't a real diagnosis, and it's still not, but hopefully one of these days it will be. But I feel like now there's so many people talking about it and just spreading the knowledge and the word that I feel like more people hear about it now, but I still feel like there's a lot of people that don't know about it. So that's why I also want to make this video, just because I want to spread awareness. Maybe you know somebody that has breast implants, maybe you know somebody that wants to get breast implants, or maybe you do, I don't know. So yeah, I just want to share my story, and hopefully this video won't be too long. I've been holding out on doing this video forever, and I finally decided just to sit down and film it, especially now that it has been a year since I got them removed back. So here are my implants. They're disgusting. They've been sitting here for a year. And after this video, I'm going to actually throw them in the trash because these things are toxic. And there's no point of just keeping them around, you know? But because they've been sitting here for a year, these are saline, by the way. There's now stuff floating in them, and they've evaporated, so there's not as much of the saline in them. And they're gross, they're gross, they're gross. I'm gonna backpedal. I'm gonna tell you why I got them, when I got them. So when I was younger, I was very skinny. I didn't have a lot of breast tissue. I was probably the same size I am now. I don't even think I knew double A existed then, but right now I'm like a 34 double A. I do have breast tissue, it's just not a lot. And I am actually more confident in myself now than I used to be when I was younger. And even though I have no boobs, I don't care. I don't care. I'm confident in who I am now, especially now that I'm older. And you just live and you learn, and you just appreciate your body more when it's gone through a lot of things, you know? So I remember back in junior high school, there was this boy in my class. He was such a jerk. He was like a bully. He just was kind of mean to everybody. And his comments would always stick with me throughout all these years. I'm 40 years old now, and those comments still stick with me. But they don't bother me like they did back when I was younger. So, you know, I was small chested then, and he would always tell me that I was flat as a wall. And then one of my good friends in junior high school was very busty, and he would always ask her if she used Miracle Grow for her boobs because they were so big. And he was just a jerk. So that just always kind of stuck with me, was like a trigger for me. And back when I was younger, I just lacked self-confidence. I was never confident. I was just insecure, and I didn't feel feminine, especially like when I got into my teen years and my 20s. I just felt like I wasn't feminine because I didn't have boobs, but boobs don't make you feminine. Just know that. They don't define you. They don't make you feminine. They don't make you who you are. And you should just love your body. Let me just tell you, you should love your body the way it is. So now you want to fast forward. I'm in my 20s. I'm considering maybe getting breast implants one of these days, but I'm not sure. So over the years, I kind of just thought about it. But then I had friends who got them done. I had several friends who had gotten them done, and they loved them. At the time, it was pretty inexpensive. I think I paid around $3,200 to get breast implants. And I decided to go with saline just because at the time there was a lot of complications. People were getting complications with the silicone ones, which, God, silicone, that's just the worst. You just don't want that stuff leaking in your body. So I just knew that I didn't want silicone. I wanted saline, even though the silicone supposedly feels more real and like squishy. I was like, I don't want the silicone, I want the saline. So that's what I did. I decided, you know what, I'm finally gonna take the plunge. I had saved enough money, and I decided to get them. I believe I was 27 years old. So I got them done, and I was pretty happy with them for a little bit, but then I started to notice over time that it wasn't that I had a uniboob, but it seemed like the muscle on my left breast was lifting a little, and it just kind of made the cleavage in between kind of weird. Like the skin in the middle where you would have cleavage was kind of lifted. And so I knew that there was something wrong, and that side would kind of not be painful, but I was just feeling like a weird sensation, like when I would kind of flex my pecs. So I think it was like a year later, maybe 2 years later. And apparently I was supposed to go every year to get them checked at my plastic surgeon's office, but I don't recall him saying any of that when I had my surgery or prior to my surgery. So I never had them checked. And I think it was 2 years later, I went back to him and I was like, you know, I feel like there's something wrong with them. And he goes, oh yeah, usually skinny people, when they get implants, sometimes the muscle doesn't want to stay down, it kind of lifts up. So he thought that that was the issue. And then I decided to have surgery to have it corrected. So he did correct it, and then it looked much better after that correction. So when I got them done, I got 300 cc's, and I ended up being a C cup. So I was like a 34C. And I will tell you right now, I like that I filled out a bra, because before implants, I never could fill a bra out. Just the cup, there would always be gaping. I just didn't have enough tissue to fill the bra cup, and I hated that. And I felt like I never could find things to wear that I liked, and that was also another reason why I wanted to get implants. I just wanted to be more confident in my clothes, not that I wanted to be flashy and show them off, because that's just not who I am. After I got the implants, I was like a 32, 34C, and I liked that I could actually buy bras and fit into them. I could wear more shirts that I liked. But I never wanted to show them off, never wanted to be flashy. I was always kind of self-conscious wearing swimsuits. I just felt too busty. I don't know, it was just so different going from such a small chest to such a bigger chest. Not that I was huge, but you know, I was a lot bigger than I initially was. And I don't know, I don't feel like they made me as confident as I thought that I would be, I guess. I mean, definitely gave me some confidence, but it's not like I was like flaunting my stuff around. So I had them since I was 27. Over the years, I started suffering from fatigue really bad. I was just always fatigued. I just like lacked motivation. I was always so tired all the time. Even if I slept through the night, when you feel fatigue, like if you experience fatigue consistently, it just really takes a toll like on your mental health and how you feel. You don't feel energized, so you don't feel motivated to do things, and I just hate that feeling. So I suffered from fatigue for a very long time, but I never associated it with my implants, and I kind of just accepted it and dealt with it, I guess. And I had other things probably going on that I just never associated with my implants. And then one year, my cousin had mentioned to me breast implant illness several years ago. And I was like, oh no, I kind of brushed it off. I was like, oh no, I don't have that. Because when you hear the word breast implant illness, you're thinking like somebody's extremely ill. I wasn't extremely ill, but I did have some problems, and I don't know, I was just like, nah, that's not what it is. And I kind of just brushed it off. In 2018, when I was pregnant with my son, I started hearing more things about breast implant illness. I joined groups on Facebook for breast implant illness, and reading thousands and thousands of women's stories on there was like, it kind of resonated with me. Like, oh my gosh, I think this is why I've felt the way I felt over all these years, why I suffered from fatigue. I had lots of migraines. I had some joint pain. I don't know, I can't even remember everything that I experienced. Low libido, have eczema, a lot of difficulty swallowing, heart palpitations. I had brain fog, which is, I feel like it's very much associated when you have fatigue. Whenever I have fatigue, I have brain fog. When I'm not fatigued, my mind is so much clearer. But like all those things, I'm like, oh, this is just me getting older. This is just me getting older. This is how people feel when they get older. That's what I was thinking. So back to when I was pregnant, I just started reading all these women's stories, and they really just resonated me. And I just worried my entire pregnancy, like, all I want to do right now is get these breast implants removed. I just want to get these removed. How am I going to get them removed? I'm going to have a baby soon. I'm gonna have an infant and then a toddler, and then how am I gonna be able to find time for surgery and heal and all of that? Because I also have my daughter who is now 6, but at the time she was 3.5, she was almost 4. So I was just worried like my entire pregnancy, like how am I gonna do this? I wanna do this, you know, explant surgery is expensive, more expensive than it was to put them in, and finding the right surgeon, because you really have to find a skilled surgeon to do an explant. So I finally decided that I was gonna go ahead and go through with the surgery. I wanted these implants removed. I did not want them replaced. They say breast implants need to be replaced every 10 to 12 years. I knew that I did not want to replace them. There was no way. These things are toxic. So breast implants contain over 40 toxic chemicals. Even if you have saline ones, people think saline, oh, they're safer. It's not that they're safer, because the shell of the implant is still made out of silicone. And there's many women, hundreds, thousands of women who have been sick from saline implants, not just the silicone ones. Silicone ones, I would say, are even worse because some people get ruptures and that silicone leaks inside their body, and that is just so toxic. So I talked to my husband about it. He was kind of iffy at first, but still was going to be supportive. Talking to him more, he became supportive. He's like, okay, if you want to do this, let's do this. So I had my mom and my cousin stay with me when my son was 1 year old. And I decided to have it around that age just because they could help with him, and like he could walk, but like he was an infant where I had to pick him up because you can't lift anything for quite a while when you have explant surgery. So they stayed with me while I had my surgery, and it was awesome, and I'm so glad I went through with it, and I was happy about it. I had researched some surgeons. You really have to find a skilled surgeon to do explant surgeries with. Somebody who really knows what they're doing, because I've heard things like some surgeons want to deflate your implants in office and then remove them later. I would say that's a big no. You want to find a surgeon who can remove the capsule, so your body forms a capsule around the implant when it's in your body, and all of that needs to come out. The implant with the capsule needs to come out of your body, because they say if you leave the capsule behind, it's still leaving those toxins in your body and you will still experience symptoms. So, and I've heard some women on some of the Facebook groups who went to a surgeon that did not remove the capsule, and then years later had to go back and have another surgery to have the capsules removed. So another good thing is to have a surgeon that will give you pictures, like after pictures, that will give you your implants back. So that's what I did. I found a surgeon in Scottsdale, Arizona, and he was pretty pricey. He was one of the more expensive surgeons, but he came highly recommended, and he's like a microsurgeon. So I heard he's really good at what he does. He's very detailed, and I knew that I just wanted to use him, and I just wanted to get it done as fast as possible. So July 7th of 2020, during the pandemic, I decided, you know what, now's the time to have these things removed. So I scheduled my surgery, and I'm so happy that I went through with it. Backpedal a little bit. Before I had scheduled my surgery and all that, this was after I had my son. I had gone to the doctor, to my primary care physician, because I had stiff neck syndrome. Basically I couldn't even like move my head. I couldn't lift it out of bed. Like I just wanted to cry. It was terrible. I had never experienced that before. And I almost felt like my head was just gonna roll off my body. That's what it felt like. Like the muscles in my neck just weren't doing anything. They weren't supporting my neck at all. So I decided to schedule a doctor's appointment to get it checked, because it had been going on for a couple of days, and I was like, I can't go through another day of this. Like I need a muscle relaxer, or I need something, I need an x-ray, I don't know. So I went to my primary care. They did an x-ray. They did give me some muscle relaxers, which did help for sure. And while I was at the doctor's office, I told her, you know, I haven't had my thyroid checked in a while, because prior to all of this, I had been getting like my annual blood work, and my thyroid hormones were normal, but I was having thyroid antibodies. And so they just wanted to keep an eye on it. Well, I hadn't had it checked in a while. So I was like, you know what, while I'm here, can you just go ahead and do my annual blood work? I really want to have my thyroid labs rechecked. So they did. And then they called me and they're like, oh, we need to see you in the office. And I'm like, oh boy, something's wrong. So I went into the office and they're like, you have Hashimoto's, hypothyroid. We're gonna send you to an endocrinologist. So I'm like, oh, great. And a lot of people that have breast implants end up having autoimmune diseases. So it's really hard to say if the implants were the cause of the autoimmune disease, if it was my pregnancy, because there's a lot of reasons that you can get Hashimoto's. Pregnancy, like just stress on your body, pregnancy, the Epstein-Barr virus, which I also had back in 2017, and I still have swollen lymph nodes. I don't know if you guys remember, I had posted a video years ago, if you've been following me for a long time, saying that I had gotten mono. Well, that's the Epstein-Barr virus, and I had that in 2017. So there's a lot of factors that could have caused my Hashimoto's. And the other thing is my mom and my aunt have autoimmune disease. My mom has rheumatoid arthritis and lupus, and my other aunt has rheumatoid arthritis. So is it genetic? Was it the implants? Was it the Epstein-Barr virus? Was it my pregnancy? I don't know for sure, but all of those things could have played a factor in it. Maybe it was just a lot of things going on with my body at the time. So anyway, I started seeing an endocrinologist, and I had been put on hypothyroid medications. So before my pregnancy, I was working out a lot and I had lost weight. And then after my pregnancy, and I started working out again, because I worked out my entire pregnancy, but when I started working out more intensely after my pregnancy, I started to lose weight a little bit, but then I started to gain weight back. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? You know, I'm not eating more and I'm exercising a lot. Like, what's going on with my body? But then that's when I found out I had the Hashimoto's. Hypothyroid, when you have hypothyroid, it is very common to gain weight. So that was my issue for gaining the weight back. But then they put me on the hypothyroid medications, and then the weight started to slowly come off. So every 6 months I was getting my labs checked for my thyroid. My labs were like in a good place, like finding the right medication dosage. So everything was kind of in a good place. And then I had my breast explant surgery done and having so much anxiety to the point of having panic attacks. Like any little noise, drop of a dime, drop of a penny, drop of a needle, like it just made me have so much anxiety, and I just had never experienced that before. Like I've had a little anxiety here or there, but I'd never had it to this extreme where I was just gonna have like a panic attack. Like I remember one day I was like, I just gotta get out of here, and I went to go in my car. I was just like freaking out, and I thought I was gonna lose it. And so I was like, you know, there's something going on with my body. And I would notice it especially more intensely right before my menstrual cycle. And I was suffering from PMDD. I will put the name of it down here. It's like premenstrual dysphoric depression. It's like a depression that I would go through. It was like a dark cloud hanging over my head a week before my period. I felt so depressed. I had so much anxiety, and it was just, with my thyroid issue, it was just like so much more intense the week before my period when I would experience that PMDD. And I was like, I gotta get something checked out. Like something is out of whack. I need to get my hormones checked. I need to get my thyroid checked. I need to get so many different things checked. So I went to my primary care physician. I was like, can you please just like do a bunch of lab work? I'm just not feeling the greatest. She's like, I know you have an endocrinologist, but I'm gonna go ahead and check your thyroid labs anyway while you're here. And then she checked my like cortisol levels and my estrogen, my progesterone, and all of that. So all that came back normal except my thyroid. My thyroid levels were just through the roof. I went from being hypothyroid to be extremely hyperthyroid, and this was after I had the implants removed. So this is why I feel like definitely the implants played a role in maybe my autoimmune disease, because after being like in a good place on my medication, as soon as I had them removed, I started feeling all the anxiety. So I was probably going into a hyperactive state, but the medication was pushing me into that hyperactive state that I was on, because the medicine I was on was for hypothyroid, not hyperthyroid. Like I had already looked at my lab results before like I went into the office so she could go over them with me. And then I was like, oh, you know, I see that I'm hyperthyroid, and I need to call my endocrinologist, let her know so she can take me off my medication. She's like, oh wow, you're like really knowledgeable about your thyroid. Most of the time I'm sitting here trying to explain to patients about their thyroid labs and they just are not understanding. She's like, but you seem very knowledgeable about it. I'm like, yeah, I've done my research, you know, I want to be on top of my health. In contact with my endocrinologist, I told her that my primary care had done my labs because I was having so much anxiety and that I was in a hyper state. And so I'm like, you need to take me off my medication, right? She's like, yes. So I stopped taking my hypothyroid medications, and she's like, I want to redo your labs in 6 weeks after you've been off all medications. So I stopped taking them for 6 weeks, went back to have my labs redone, and my thyroid levels were all normal. However, she also had tested me for Graves' disease, which is another autoimmune disease of the thyroid, and it makes you hyperthyroid versus hypothyroid. So she said that I switched from Hashimoto's hypothyroid to Graves' disease hyperthyroid because I had tested positive for the antibodies for Graves' disease. So I was still having antibodies for both, but she said that my body had switched. I don't know. It's kind of confusing, but so I'm like, okay. So she's like, so for now your labs, like your hormone levels are all normal. And I told her I was feeling so much better. I just felt better. I wasn't like super fatigued. So she's like, okay, well, normally I see you every 6 months, but because your thyroid hormones are in a normal state right now, she's like, I don't want to see you back for a year unless you're like having anxiety, heart palpitations, sweat intolerance, any of the symptoms for Graves' disease. If you're feeling any of that, please come back in sooner and we'll check your labs sooner. So I'm actually due to have my labs done in February. When you have Hashimoto's, a lot of times you have a swollen thyroid gland, which I did. It was very enlarged. That was another thing, is when the doctor felt my thyroid, they're like, oh yeah, it feels enlarged. Are you having difficulty swallowing? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, actually. I had always had a very hard time swallowing. Just for years, I would just have so much trouble swallowing, even my spit. It was just the weirdest thing. So anyway, you have like difficulty swallowing, fatigue, you can have insomnia, sleep disturbances, cold intolerance. So basically you're always like cold. You can't just warm up. And you can have like joint pain, depression. There's a lot of things that you can have going on with Hashimoto's. So Graves' disease causes hyperthyroid, and you can have similar symptoms, but some different ones. So instead of having cold intolerance, you have heat intolerance, which I do feel like at the time I was having a lot of anxiety and stuff. I definitely feel like I had heat intolerance. Like I was just like sweating more than normal because I'm not usually a sweater, especially when you go from being cold intolerant to heat intolerant. You're like, what's going on? And then, with Hashimoto's, you can have weight gain because your thyroid is underactive, but when you have hyperthyroid, your thyroid is overactive, so you have a higher metabolism and you can lose weight, but more than you want because you always feel hungry and your metabolism is working too quick, so that's why you end up losing a lot of weight, and people can end up looking like super, super skinny. But I wasn't having any of that issue because when I had gone to the doctor and I had switched from hypo to hyper, she asked, like, I noticed your weight has dropped. And I'm like, oh, it's been intentional because I was actually tracking my macros and working out a lot, and I was trying to lose weight. So it was intentional, but I did feel like when I was in a hyperactive state that I was extremely hungry all the time. And I normally am pretty hungry as it is, but I was like extremely hungry. Like I wanted to eat constantly, and I would just start getting shaky if I didn't have food in my system. So the weight loss was intentional. It wasn't like a super big drop or anything like that. It was just kind of like gradual, like at a normal rate. So with the hyperthyroid, I was having the anxiety, having the depression, which also I was having with the Hashimoto's because you can have both of them. Heart palpitations with both. What else? Insomnia, fatigue, again, swollen thyroid. So when I had saw my endocrinologist, the last time when my thyroid levels were normal, she felt my thyroid and she's like, yeah, I feel like it has gone down, like it doesn't feel enlarged anymore. So I'm like, yes, I hope all of this is a result of removing my implants. I do feel like it's pretty coincidental that 6 months after removing my implants, I went from hypo to hyper, you know what I'm saying? And then after stopping my medication, my labs were normal minus my antibodies, which is something I'm very curious to know if they've gone down when I get my labs done in February. I would really, really like to get my antibodies down. And when you have these autoimmune diseases, they do have like certain diets that you should be on. You shouldn't consume gluten, dairy, soy. So those are things I'm trying to avoid. I avoid gluten at all costs. I do not have gluten anymore. And it takes a little bit of adapting, but you know, it's normal for me now. And I feel like there's so many gluten-free products on the market that are tasting better than they used to taste. So that helps. But I try to eat a lot of whole foods and have a really good diet. Diet is everything, especially when you have an autoimmune disease. Because when you have an autoimmune disease, you have a leaky gut, and like the chemicals in food and things you put in your body, they seep outside your bowels, which normally they don't when you don't have leaky gut. So, and then that just kind of like causes the autoimmune diseases, causes your symptoms. So when you have a really good diet, it could really help with your symptoms. I've done so much research on all of this stuff. And I just want to be the healthiest version of myself. I just want to feel my best. I'm a big believer in breast implant illness. You'll talk to some doctors and they kind of will roll your eyes at you. Oh, well, that's not a real thing. That's all in your head. If you have breast implants and you want to get them removed and you go to a doctor that makes you think you're crazy about it, you need to go see somewhere else. Run out that door, go see somebody else. Somebody that believes in breast implant illness. Do your research, follow Facebook groups online. It's real. It's real. There's so many women affected by it. So many women share their stories about how sick they were with them and then they got them removed, and then over time all their symptoms have gone away. Most of their symptoms have gone away. I mean, there are some women who get them removed and they say that they don't feel any better. Maybe it was too late. Maybe, you know, they've done permanent damage on their body. Maybe they were already prone to getting something anyway. Like, it's really hard to say, you know, but a lot of women have a lot of relief when they get them removed. And I would say I feel a lot better than I used to feel. I don't suffer from migraines all the time anymore. And I don't have joint pain like I used to. I remember I used to get out of bed every single morning and the joint pain in my feet, I would step down on my feet and my feet would hurt so bad. I had a lot of wrist pain, neck pain, lower back pain, but I've been just doing a lot of things over this past year to really improve, you know, my body. I work out a lot. I try to eat a lot of whole foods, and I would say my diet is good 90% of the time. I still like to indulge. I mean, we have to. But again, I don't have gluten. Dairy has been a hard one for me. I have reduced my dairy intake a lot, like extremely, but I still like to have cheese pizza sometimes on gluten-free crust. I like to have ice cream, the real thing, sometimes, but I just try not to have it too often. Soy is a hard one also. I try to avoid it, but it's very hard because it's in chocolate, it's in gum, it's in so many things. But I look at an ingredient list. Now when I'm shopping at a store, I'm always looking at the ingredient list, trying to avoid those things when I can. And I will say diet has helped me a lot, because I notice now when I eat certain foods, they definitely affect me. Like when I do have dairy, I do notice that I start getting a lot of phlegm in my throat, which is a problem that I used to have all the time. I constantly had phlegm in my throat, and I think that was one of the reasons too why I had such a difficult time swallowing, is because I constantly had phlegm in the back of my throat all the time. So avoiding these foods has helped a lot. I notice when I eat chocolate, it causes like a histamine reaction right away in my throat. Same thing, it just immediately causes a lot of phlegm in my throat. So I'm just kind of being more hyper aware of what I'm putting in my body and how my body's reacting to it. You got to keep in mind, I still have an autoimmune disease. Just because my hormone levels are normal right now does not mean my autoimmune disease has gone away. Going into remission would mean that I don't have any antibodies and I don't have any symptoms, and that's just not the case yet. But I do feel overall a lot better. So I feel like my fatigue is not like it used to be. And there was a period of time where I wasn't feeling fatigued. I was actually pretty energetic. But just recently, like this summer here in Arizona, the weather is so hot, it's over 100 degrees, and I always notice in the summertime I just feel more sluggish and tired and unmotivated, and that's how I've been feeling lately. Sometimes I have a better day than other days, but that's also why I don't film a lot of videos, because I'm busy as it is. But when I get an hour of downtime, I don't want to film a video. I just want to lay there and relax, because the rest of my day is pretty busy. And sometimes that's all I need, is kind of just to take a little cat nap or just lay around for a while, and then I feel more energized. So it's really hard to pinpoint it. Maybe I need to have my thyroid labs checked again, but I feel like everything else is pretty good, because like I'm not having any hair loss, which is another symptom I forgot to mention. When I had Hashimoto's, my hair, I noticed my hair was like brittle, like it just felt like straw. It was so dry. It was in a weird state, and I had never had that before. But that's what your hair gets like when you have Hashimoto's. Hypothyroid, you can also have a lot of hair loss with both Hashimoto's and Graves' disease. So my hair's been in a good place. It doesn't feel bad. I feel like I'm losing a normal amount of hair every day, and I'm not really having like anxiety like I was, or heart palpitations like I was. Oh, the other thing I noticed and I wanted to mention is when I used to do my workouts and I was in a hypoactive state and a hyperactive state both times, I was having the hardest time breathing, especially on cardio days. I mean, I would be hunched over trying to catch my breath. I was taking my inhaler because I was diagnosed with exercise-induced asthma, which I did have asthma as a kid, and then I didn't have any issues with it. And then all of a sudden, like when I would work out and do cardio, like I just could not breathe and catch my breath, and it would really impact my performance at the gym. After my thyroid levels went back to a normal state, I can't tell you how much better I could breathe, even when I had the breast implants removed. First, I noticed it when I had the implants removed. I was still having a little bit of difficulty breathing, but I felt like having that weight off of my chest, off of my lungs, it just made a huge difference. Like I just felt like I could breathe so much better. And then when my thyroid labs went into a normal state, that it improved even more after that. So that made a huge difference. I forgot to mention that. See, I'm just like all over the place in this video, but I'm just kind of trying to remember things. So anyway, I think I'm just going to end the video there. If you guys want me to do an update video, like once I do have my labs redone in February, just let me know. I'm anxiously awaiting to see what they look like. I mean, I hope everything's just going to improve from here on out. I was reading somebody's story on Facebook recently with their breast implant illness. They said that I think they said it was like 3 years since they had theirs removed, and every year got better. Like it was a slow process, but every single year got better for them. So I'm just hoping that for me, because it's only been a year so far, and you know, it takes time for your body to heal and adjust. And I just hope that's the case for me, because I would really like to get my antibodies non-existent so that I could be in remission with my thyroid. I just want to be healthy. I just want to be healthy. And I don't recommend breast implants for anybody. If you're somebody who wants breast implants, been considering them, maybe join some of those groups on Facebook, read people's stories. There's a lot of women that do that, and then they end up like, you know, commenting like, thanks for this group. After hearing all your stories, like I've decided that I don't. It's not worth my health. It's not worth taking the risk and getting implants. It's just not. So a lot of people decide not to go through with it after hearing so many stories of people having so many issues with them. So I'm just going to read some of the symptoms of breast implant illness for you. This video is going to be way longer than I expected. A lot of people have a lot of these issues, but you just don't associate them with your implants until you have them removed, and then all those things improve, then you realize, you know what, it was the implants. I'll put some links down below if you guys are interested in doing research, checking it out for yourself. But thank you guys for watching this video. I'm sorry it was so long. I hope you found it informative. If you know somebody that has implants and they're been suffering from some illnesses and they're not really sure why, maybe make them aware of breast implant illness. They can do their research. So yeah, these things, they're going in the trash. Ugh. I am so beyond happy to have those things removed from my body. And like I was saying earlier in the video, like I was so insecure when I was younger, and I'm back to being flat chested. I mean, I have a little tissue, not much, but I'm more confident in myself than I ever was before. And that could be too because like I've been really working on my body. I've been working out a lot and I have a good diet, and I've seen a lot of changes in my body over the last 3 years of working out and just improving my health. Another thing is I've been going to the chiropractor because, you know, I was having lots of problems in my neck and my lower back, and I found out that I do have scoliosis, and then I was having some reverse curvature in my neck. So your neck should curve like this. Well, mine was curving forward, and that's due to electronics these days. We're always looking down. Going to the chiropractor regularly has really helped my neck and my back problems, and yeah, I'm a happier person now, so I'm just so glad to have those toxic things removed from my body. We just had another one of my friends who got her implants shortly after me. I made her aware of breast implant illness, and she's had a lot of health issues, and she actually just got hers removed last week. So I really hope a lot of her symptoms improve with her explant. So anyway, enough rambling on here. I hope you guys found this video informative. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Have a great day. Bye.